The City approved Common Council meeting for September 2nd, 2014 to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilman Kurt Kroskoff and remain standing for the invocation led by Pastor Rod Carell.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Shall we pray? Father God, we come to you and thank you for this opportunity to be here today. We thank you for your blessings. We ask God that you would guide and direct every part of this meeting according to your glory. And we ask God that you would give wisdom to our leaders of our city. Keep your hand upon it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Roll call.
Alley.
Here.
Goff.
Here.
Greer.
Here.
Guston. Crosskoff.
Here.
Lee. Torrance.
Here.
Mr. Guston did contact me, and he is celebrating his 5th anniversary. So we want to congratulate him on his wedding, or his 5th wedding anniversary. Next item, reading and correcting of the journal.
Move we suspend the rules and dispense with the reading and correcting of the journal. Second.
Has been moved by Councilman Crosskoff, second by Councilman Alley, to suspend the rules and reading and correcting the journal. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Communications.
Phyllis, enlighten us.
Okay. I'd like to report on our Civic Center. I know that road is really torn up, but you still are able to get in and out. So we had 224 people use the center. She had 8 events, and she was able to return $280.87 back to the city.
Very good.
Very good.
Building and zoning update, Mr. C.
Enforcement monthly report. Commercial demolition permits, we had 1. Rehabilitation permits, 1. Roofing permits, 2. Building complaints, 2. Code enforcements, 15. Building consults, 15. Code enforcement consults and meetings, we had 4. Zoning consults and meetings of 3. Residential demolition permits of 3. Electrical permits, 4. Rehabilitation permits, 11. And residential roofing permits, 5.
Imagine you're going to have a busy schedule next few weeks with this grass, with the rain we've had, right?
What?
Just keep walking, that's all right. Just
I have my hearing aids pointing.
okay. I said, I imagine you're going to be busy here in the next few weeks with this rain we've had with grass.
Yes, it's starting to perk right up.
Right up. Thank you.
Okay, we also have an update from Mr. Jim Clary on the Peru Municipal Airport activities over the last year. So, Mr. Clary.
Well, you've all heard the old saying about the best laid plans. I had this all on a presentation to project, and I thought Dave had everything here, so I brought it on my thumb drive. Y'all want to look at that one?
Just pass it
To
around.
do that, then I started printing out some copies. Embarrassed to tell you is that I ran out of toner. So I have a few, if y'all can just share.
We can do that.
Yeah.
We can do that.
We'll go through this. Just by way of a little background information, up until August 1st of last year, it was managed with an FBO, which is called a fixed-based operator. And that's a pretty traditional way for community airports to do business. And that person contracts with the city, and they're paid an amount of money, and they're responsible for taking care of the grounds and providing services and taking care of buildings. Our contract with our fixed-base operator expired. They elected not to renew it. And so we thought, as the Board of Aviation Commissioners, we would just assume that responsibility and start taking care of the airport over the year. And so during this last year, we've got just a little about 13 months now under our belt as of today. Do have some of our members and folks here with us tonight. Bill Mallow is a member of the board. He is our most senior member, been around for quite a few years out there, and knows just about everything there is, and usually is at the airport on a daily basis, keeping an eye on activities. He helps Kelly and takes care of mechanical equipment and fixing things and that type of thing. Harry Denham's the vice president of the board. Harry, see Harry. Oh, there's Harry. And Harry is number 2 in seniority on the board, and Harry takes care of the building and grounds and any construction needs and fixing up things that we need to take care of. Mike joined us a couple years ago, Mike Schaub, and he puts to good use his career in banking and finance to try to help us keep track of our nickels and dimes and where they're at and where they're going. I happen to see Jackie smile over there, so that's a good thing. I'm Jim Clary. I'm the president of the board, and I don't do anything. So we also have with us Kelly Wolf this evening. Kelly is our airport manager, so he's out there on a day in and day out basis. He's kind of an ambassador for the community. When folks show up, they're going to be greeted by a fellow that's just always in a good mood and smiling and friendly and helpful. And so Kelly is here as our manager. Chris Soliday is here. He also helps us out on weekends, helps out with snow plowing, those types of things. And Ralph Jeffers is one of our pilots that's got an airplane based out at the airport. Ralph chips in and helps out as well and provides some support. For those of you that have a sheet to look at, the next page over is just a picture of where we're at on an aeronautical chart. There's little red boxes there that shows the Peru Municipal Airport, and then a little further down there's a little red box that shows you where it's at relative to Grissom. So that's just a point of information. The things we're going to talk about tonight are just primarily informational. As a board, we see our responsibilities as focusing on good financial management, safety and security, physical appearance of the grounds and the buildings, community awareness, trying to get the folks here in this community of Peru to know that we do have an airport, where it's at, what goes on out there. And we also see ourselves as an economic development partner in the community, and we have some ground and some things we can look at on that. In recent years, as a board, we were able to take 2 or 3 different land rent contracts that existed, and the land was being rented out for $85 an acre. We rewrote the leases and got them timed so it all came together at one time, and that gave us about 80 acres of ground that we could lease out and bid in just one shot instead of little incremental pieces. When we did that, we got $175 an acre, so we gained about $90 an acre of income that comes in off of the land rent. We have staffed the airport. We have 7-day operations. The fuel supply for aviation fuel was somewhat intermittent over a period of time, and we were able to establish a relationship with a fuel supplier, so we have a steady, reliable supply of fuel out there. We've upgraded our card readers on the pumps and new pumps and systems to dispense the fuel. We've started repair on the T hangars, and there's a picture down there on the right-hand side. We have 2 different types of hangar. These are the T hangars. They have kind of a contrary door mechanism on them, and we've been going through those one by one and kind of doing some maintenance on them, putting a heavier spring on them, and they seem to be working much better, and the folks that are renting those hangars seem to be a good deal happier. We have an old truck out there. We got that going, again, with the help of the fellows behind me, and got a snow plow on it, so we've been using that to provide and help with the snow removal. We had a new lawnmower for grounds. That was purchased with the extra money we asked for about a year ago to kind of get things caught up and in place. The office terminal furnace is about 18, 20 years old. It's getting down toward the end of its useful life, but we did get it repaired and up and running. Same thing's true with the hanging furnaces that are out in the terminal building hangar. So those are going to be issues downstream. We got a couple of hydraulic hoses for our big John Deere tractor and got a batwing mower hooked up behind it. So instead of using a basic lawnmower, zero-turn mower to mow about 11 acres every week, we started bush hogging a large percentage of that and then just used the smaller lawnmower around the buildings, runway lights, and adjacent to taxiways. So we're saving a lot of time and energy there. Purchased just miscellaneous items that you need for the airport: power washers, string trimmers. The windows in the terminal were leaking. We managed to get new windows put in to take care of the leaks and also to make it a little more energy efficient. Cleaned the carpets and the furniture, got debris out of the hangars, built an airlock between the terminal hangar and the office building. We installed some security signage and systems out at the airport just for security purposes. Got the emergency phone numbers up at the fuel pump. We got fire extinguishers all purchased or recharged and in place out on the fuel pad in the office buildings in the terminal hangar, so I feel like we got a lot accomplished there. We operated within the budget that we had, and we prepared a pretty good budget for this year, and we're very appreciative. We got a little extra this year, and we're very, very appreciative of that. I think we worked hard, Jackie, on trying to follow the procedures.
Excellent job. Much, much improved.
So, well, I always say you want to keep the treasurer happy. So anyway, in terms of community awareness activities at the airport last year, the first Wednesday in December, we just had a Christmas open house. We had about 52 people that came out over the evening. Again, pilots and friends of the airport. The mayor came out and visited for a while. Folks hung around, had a very nice evening. We'll do it again the first Wednesday in December, so put it on your calendars. You're all invited. We had dinner out at the Dutch Cafe and then went across the street and toured Dean Baldwin, just as, again, as an awareness and interest group. We had about 25 folks attend that. And we planned and organized a bus trip, excuse me, earlier this spring. Took a group of people down to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, spent the day down there. We had 40 people to go. Again, not only do we have folks from our community, we had some folks from over at Wabash, Logansport, Rochester, so we're trying to reach out and start to engage and become familiar with and work with other folks. Tenants, people that are leasing hangars and what have you at the airport have been getting very involved with helping us out. Mr. Jeffers back here, Ralph, repaired our electronic gate that had been kind of a chronic issue, and it seemed like every time we had it fixed, it cost us another $500. Mr. Jeffers worked on it. It's been working for a year, no problems. So we're very thrilled with that. Ron Fear now is not with us here, but he is a retired military fellow with a security background. He's been helping us with the safety security issues around the airport. Phil Piggott purchased a gas grill, and the guys come out before our meetings sometimes or other events, and they just have a little cookout and get together. It's a social time, but still it's part of what we need to get done. And Kelly here has been organizing breakfast flights throughout the spring and summer, so they get together, get their airplanes, and fly off somewhere and have breakfast. Grants, we do receive grant money on a fairly regular basis from the FAA. The most recent grant finished was to put in a new electrical vault system. Again, the old one had been out there since the airport was first built, I think in about 72, 73 time frame. It was becoming somewhat problematic. We were experiencing some issues with power surges on the airfield, burning out lamps in the rotating beacon, runway lights, things like that. The approach light system that works was somewhat questionable. So we have a good, clean power supply. All the power to the airport comes into that vault and then is distributed out throughout the airport to all the buildings, all the structures, all the lighting systems. We're getting started this year on a fuel farm upgrade. We have 2 fuel tanks on the field. Both are in the 12,000 gallon range. It's an above ground jet fuel tank. We're currently not dispensing or selling jet fuel, and about a 12,000 gallon in-ground fuel tank. So our fuel farm project is to get the tank out of the ground and above ground, and then get the containment wall around it so that we avoid any leakage or fuel spills or other downstream liabilities going forward. 2016-17 grant cycle. Currently in the capital improvement plan, we have some hangars and that type of thing in place, but they're sort of placeholders. We can change that as we go. So as an airport community and with some of the pilots and the board, we've been just kind of trying to get our arms around where will Peru Municipal Airport be in 4, 5, or 10 years, and how best do we position ourselves with these grant funds to put in place the structures or the improvements that will take us down that path. So we're having a lot of fun with that discussion. We got a lot of big ideas. From a marketing point of view, we're trying to work hard on public relations, airport support groups. Again, just some of the things we talked about earlier of getting together and learning more about the airport, how the airport, or what we might want to do. We understand that we serve the community, and we want the airport to be something that adds value to the community. It has a purpose. I'd go out on a limb. Guys back there, you may not want to listen, but I'd go out on a limb and say that maybe in 15-year time frame, maybe a little longer, we can get the right steps in place. Maybe the airport could become self-sufficient, or maybe diminish the amount that's required of the city. Now, that's a pretty big and bold statement, but I don't think it's totally impossible. Of course, we're communicating to you today some of the airport's accomplishments. Business and tourism, we have acreage that we can develop out at the airport. Jim Yates is a flyer and has an airplane based out there in partnership, and he's on our little committee. He's also the president of Makita and the Makita Aviation Board, and I also am with Makita's aviation component as well. So we're trying to get ourselves in a position where we're working cooperatively with those folks. Jim Tidd said, we'll get information together. We got some ground, so when they're out marketing assets in the community, we can take a look at that. Maybe we can find some small businesses or enterprises that might want to build or do something out at the airport. We're working on getting our hangars filled up. We got a couple right now that are vacant. We're going to look at trying to see if we can come up with some advertising campaigns of some sort. 2017, we'll be able to rebid the land lease that I talked to you about earlier. We'll take a look at seeing if maybe we can get a charter service operation at the airport. Maybe one of the, medical folks in the area might want to base a satellite helicopter out there or something of that nature, or the state police would be a possibility. We'd like to promote the airport as a fly-in destination. And one of the pages back there, you'll see in a minute, has an example of it. But start promoting the airport at circus time. Maybe there's some families that would like to fly in, come into town, go to the circus, take in the festival, fly in. If they flew in to go to the Grissom Air Museum, they'd most likely fly in to Grissom, but that doesn't mean we won't try to encourage that type of thing, or a golfing holiday at Rock Hollow, or those types of things. Probably won't get hundreds of flights annually for that type of thing, but if we get a half a dozen, it's a good starting point. So we're going to try to promote those types of activities at the airport. There's an awful lot to see and do in this community, as you all well know. I pulled a page out of the AOPA magazine that's published by, that's Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, and about 400,000 pilots around the country that get it. And there's a little story up there about Billings, Montana. And that's a fly-in or a fly-out destination. So that's an example of what I'm talking about when I said maybe we could try to create that kind of interest as well in our aviation asset here in Peru. The next page, for those of you that have it, I flipped over, kind of gives you an aerial view of what the airport property looks like. The red line outlines a couple of areas that might be suitable for development on the existing property. The odd-shaped red line at the kind of the top of the photo is on the northeast end of the airport, and it's on the northeast end of the airport anyway. So that would be one area that might be suitable for light manufacturing, warehousing, distribution, something like that. You couldn't put a large commercial building in there, but there are some operations that go in. The more square red line is right adjacent to the ramp and some of our hangars, and that would be an area as well that we could do some kind of commercial development if we found the right opportunity. The bold yellow line basically outlines, along with the red line there at the top, the airport property. And there's roughly, give or take a little, 10 acres north of the airport and south of the airport that we own as well. In total, there's a little over 100 acres of ground at the Peru Municipal Airport. A lot of our ideas for airport-sponsored activities would be, first of all, maybe to see if we can find a way to get a ground school and pilot training program established. Ground school is a little less problematic. When you get a pilot training program, you got to have an airplane. Mr. Denham back here has a Cessna 152 he's been rehabbing, and that's a possibility. We might be able to use that as part of a training aircraft to get something going. Maybe a flying club, an EAA chapters, Experimental Aircraft Association. Young Eagles is a youth program of the experimental aircraft folks. We talked about maybe having some kind of a big garage sale out in the hangar, again, just so folks from the community could come out and become familiar with it. Maybe a skydiving club, a repair shop, or a detailing shop inside of the hangar, the main terminal hangar. Eagles Nest projects are really, really neat projects. And Steve, you'd be particularly interested because they're typically operated in association with a career center or somebody like that, but they use the reconstruction or finishing or building of an airplane as an instructional tool for high school age students. That would be a pretty exciting program. It'd probably be something we maybe could get together with all three of the school corporations or something of that nature. Bus trip was a great success. We'll try that again. Kelly's got us on Facebook, and we're getting some likes and thumbs up. So if you want to go to facebook.com, Peru Municipal Airport, / all one word, you can see us on Facebook. We'd also like to do an airport fly-in. The next page is Airport Awareness Day fly-in. It kind of outlines the types of activities that we would like to have if we have a fly-in, and try to get something put together. I don't know if we thought about trying to get one together yet this fall. Whether or not we got time to do it, I don't know, but we'll probably try to have something, if nothing more, a pancake breakfast or something of that nature to, again, get some activity out at the airport. Airport improvement plan as we look going forward. We've outlined some projects that we would like to take on, and these are not what I would call, for the most part, are not grantable projects. So we could not use federal FAA grant monies to do these things. But to start working on remodeling or updating the terminal building. That over 5 years might take $15,000, $20,000 a year to start trying to bring it up to speed. We are going to need to do a furnace, a pilot lounge would be an optional thing, but our furnace out there is going to be in need of some attention. Upgrade what we have named Hangar 2, but there's been a hangar that was kind of rough, incomplete out there for about 20 years, and it belonged to Mr. Boyer. He passed away. It transferred to his sons, Mark and Steve. Mike worked with Mark and Steve. They gave that hangar building to the airport. So we've acquired possession of that, have control of it. So now we can start working on securing it. We can just use it initially as a machine shed or something of that nature, but downstream we can finish it out into a working, usable commercial hangar if we have a use for that. I mentioned the old truck with the snow blade that we have salvaged and got it working, but somewhere downstream it's not going to go forever. And so we'll probably need to try to look at putting some kind of a truck in place, restock some of the retail components of the airport with aviation charts and oil and pilot kits and those types of things. We need to get some communication radios, handheld radios, so that when Kelly or other folks that are working at the airport are out of the terminal, they could still listen to aviation-related traffic, incoming aircraft, or whatever's going on in the area. Just general information, and so I think, again, we're probably starting to repeat myself here, but we did inspect and repair the T hangars. We did make upgrades to the terminal building. We got a new flagpole and flag out at the airport. Compliments of Ron Fairnow, who purchased and installed that. We acquired the open storage building, and that's why I was just talking about Hangar 2. We got the electrical all upgraded. We got our fuel supply in place. We made an improvement that I think is kind of a big one, even though it's very simple, but we relocated the fence line of the entrance, and on the next page, you'll see that there's a photograph there, and the old fence line ran right against the sidewalk, so it was kind of like you were going down a cattle chute to get into the airport. And so we were doing the electrical vault improvement. We were coming in under budget, so we had a little extra money to work with, and we were able to get that fence line moved back to the corners of the building. And it makes all the difference in the world when you pull in and look at it. It's open and it's spacious, so we're pretty pleased with that. We do have a jet fuel tank. We have not sold jet fuel. We're looking at improving or getting that tank cleaned out and serviceable so we can do fuel sales on it. As I said, the fuel farm improvements are coming along. The security risk is pretty low. The guy mentioned the snow removal equipment again. And just as a point of information, we think that the community has an asset that probably is worth $7 to $10 million. That's just a best guesstimate. It's based on a recently constructed airport down in the state of Missouri, 4,000-foot runway, so it's very comparable to what we have. And it took, in 2010, it was a $13 million cost. So we have a valuable asset, a community asset out there. just as a point of reference, and that's all it is, we did put together community budgets elsewhere. We are budgeted this current year at $74,950. Next year it'll go up about $4,000. There's Wabash is at 130, Fulton County 434. Doesn't mean we're wrong, doesn't mean they're right. It just means that that's a comparison of what we're doing, and hopefully the takeaway from that is just hope that you all feel like that we're doing a good job of being good stewards of the community's asset and the community's money. And last but not least, I wanted to talk to you about old number 11. Now, old number 11's had a lifetime of community service. If you look at that last page, number 11 is one of your fine city patrol cars. And after a lifetime of public service, I can think of nothing better than to be put out to pasture at the Peru Community Airport as a courtesy car. Now, courtesy cars are common at airports. It's simply transportation. When folks fly in, they need to come to town. They maybe need to conduct a little business, get a sandwich for lunch, or do something of that nature, and they typically use the courtesy car. They're never anything very fancy or very substantial, but they do work. And so anyway, so I'd like for you just to keep that thought in mind. Number 22 would be okay too. I've been checking out all the numbers on these older ones when I drive around town. And last, and in closing, if any of you would like to come out to the airport and go for a flight and just kind of see what not only the airport, but the community, Grissom, all of it looks like from a different perspective, just let me know, and I'm sure we can find someone that'd be happy to take you for a ride around town and give you a flight. Any questions?
I'd like to say that in the past years, airport about the different things, with the new team they have in place and some of the things they are doing, it is much improved, and I'm very pleased with it, and I thank you for everything you've done out there and brought that up to where it should be, and it's a great asset, as you say. So thank you very much for the job you're doing.
Thank you, Jim. We're having fun.
Jim.
Having a good time.
You're talking about not selling the jet fuel
Right.
because you're not set up yet to sell that.
No, there's a jet fuel tank there, the pumps are there, everything is there to do that. The main reason we're not selling it is that the fuel that is in the tank has become stagnant over time. Diesel fuel or jet fuel will get a bacteria in it and degrades, and it's no longer useful. So in order to use that tank, there's a couple of factors in it, but it would take about $5,000 to $6,000 is the best estimate we have currently to drain it and scrub it, clean it, and get it back into a serviceable condition. Then the second question is what is the market?
I was going to ask that. Do you have jets coming in out there?
Not a lot of jets. We do get turboprops, like a King Air and that type. In fact, I think that it's flown by Burnham Boilers, or the folks out here that have Bryan Steam, and they come and go on a fairly regular basis.
Those crop dusting airplanes, I see them all
The crop
around.
dusters use jet fuel, and they're here for a week or two in the summer as
Yeah.
well.
So where do they get their fuel?
They truck it in right now. So if we had it, they would be more than willing to buy it. It's probably not with us making any money. But that's okay. It would still be a good service. Yeah.
That's been out there for a long time. As I think back on previous councils that I've served on, I'd say that tank has to be a good 8 or 12 years old. They came in and asked for, Mr. Mallow was connected at the time.
Yeah, the jet tank, Bill, what is that, probably 12, 15 years?
About 10,
About 10 on the jet? Did they do the jet and the 100 load at the same time?
yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
both of the tanks that are out there been out there for about 10 years.
Yes, yeah, I remember that.
I had the privilege of Mr. Denham took me on a tour here, I don't know, a few months ago of the airport facility, and I enjoyed the tour. And there are some areas that do need some work, as you've mentioned. But not real, I mean, there's nothing I see that's serious. It's an attractive facility, and
We're going to try and make it a little more so.
yeah.
We'll keep plugging and chugging at it, so.
Thank you, Jim.
You bet. Thank you all. Appreciate your time.
Couple of things, just bring up to speed on a couple things of interest. Number one, you've heard of the demolition program, which helps with demolition of residential properties, because as you know, we're never able to budget enough money to take care of everything that we have. Bruce Carson and Brenda and Nancy all worked very hard on getting an application in. We will know on the 24th of this month if we are successful in getting it. And what we can do on that is get a lot of the residential properties cleaned up that need to be brought in line. And to tell you how much it is tells you how much of a problem we have. What we put in for was $812,000. We're not the largest that's submitted to that. So there are a lot of need, a lot of communities. We will know on the 24th, but if we do get that, we can make a lot of improvements in some of these neighborhoods where we're saying we don't have the money, it'll have to wait till next year. Because I know a lot of people live next door to an unsafe or unsightly home. Don't like to keep hearing the phrase, we'll have to wait till next year. So this would be able to get us caught up. Will it take care of everything? Unfortunately not. It's a lot of money, but it will not take care of everything that we need to do. I'm sorry?
I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's all right.
I had a question about those row of commercial buildings on the south side.
Right here on the south side?
Yeah, I know there was some interest in those buildings, and last I knew they were on the demo list. Are we working on anything to work with people that are interested?
If you know anyone who is interested in, because we are talking not only those, but the T.J. Phillips building. We're trying to find somebody to save that one because the back wall is in very bad shape.
Gotcha.
If anyone is interested, they need to get in touch with Bruce
Okay.
and let him know, because the back walls of those ones on South Broadway are starting to buckle. And on the back side, the one in the front, the facade is starting to pull away from the building, so they're going to have to get in there pretty quick if they want to do it. All of them are on tax sale list, so we can't give them to them, but if they're interested and they can get them in a tax sale and they want to invest in them, we'll certainly sit down and talk with them.
What's the time frame for those getting tore down, the ones there on Broadway?
Right now, we don't have a set time. We haven't actually put the condemnation list on them. We have gone through those again. Bruce Carson and some others have gone through those. There are some very serious issues. Can they be fixed? If you had the money, they could probably be fixed. I don't know how much money people are willing to put into them, but we're certainly willing to work with them on those if they have an interest in them. But I would say time is of the essence, because you go around the backside of them, that's when you really see the condition of those buildings.
How
Same
would
as
the city work
T.J.
with
Phillips. Pardon?
How would the city be able to work with them if people were interested in them?
Well, we can work with them, as far as the permitting process, try to expedite that. As far as will there be any money to help with that, not the amount that they would need to restore them. We simply don't have that. But, we'll work with them, try to accommodate them any way we can. But, as far as being able to give them capital, I don't know that we're going to have the funds to give them much capital. There may be some to help, but it wouldn't take care of everything that needs to be done on them. And this money that I'm talking about, blight elimination, that's only for residential. We can't use it for commercial.
I know the people I was talking to said that the back taxes on some of them were substantial.
Yep.
And I didn't know if there was anything the city could do about those taxes.
The county would have to do that, because it's a county tax sale, or if it goes into commissioner sales, they handle the tax sales and commissioner sale. So if they wanted those fees to be waived, they'd have to go through the county on that. I mean, if the city wanted to make a recommendation, we could, but we couldn't make the final decision on it.
Gotcha.
So,
When you're talking about properties, Mr. Hart, when he's the building commissioner, I had several women attend a meeting with me one night, and there's at least 4 or 5 properties that were already, they said they'd tear them down, the money was appropriated and everything, and I asked him, when's this going to all happen? And he said, I'll have them down by December. Well, they're still sitting there. And some of these, people should not have to put up with a lot of these homes like
well, the
that.
only thing I'd say on that, Phyllis, is Bruce Carson knows that these properties are high priority to me, and he's working very hard to get to the point where we can start doing that. This blight elimination will help considerably.
I know he is. I keep reminding him all the time. Yeah.
No, we all know that is a priority, so, to get these things under control. But we'll know on the 24th whether we're successful or not, and I can bring a full
But
report
again, the
back
money
to
was
you.
already
Pardon me?
appropriated to have them torn down.
We have $170,000 in the demolition of the unsafe building fund. But if you look at that, that may take 10 or 15 homes down, that's it. 170,000 isn't a lot of money when you're talking demolition. Because an average home would be, if it's a small one, you're still talking 8 to 10. Some of them can be 15 or more, depending on how close you are to another home or whatever. So when you look at 170, boy, that'd take care of it. Unfortunately, it doesn't. So it doesn't go that far. That's what it takes.
Are we still working on the same list?
Yes. Yep. And some are being added to it. So there's new ones coming on. But like I said, we'll keep you posted on that. Also on Logan Street, the concrete is moving along last couple of days because of rain, but we are on the final stretch going down on the south side. It'll start moving a little quicker there because the sidewalks on that side are a little narrower than on the other side. And they're going to be what they call a curb face pour, so we can do those a little quicker. Conduit should be all in, and so that's not going to slow anything down. And then we'll start in on the milling and paving. So we're getting close to the end on that and move on down to 5th Street and get that one repaired. That needs a lot of work. Also, I just wanted to ask, not just for the council's benefit, for anyone in the audience, whenever you hear anything about a comp plan being discussed in our community, please plan to attend. It's a comprehensive study, and that is the direction we're going, mainly considering US 31 and how that gets developed, because as you know, interstate status is coming through there, and how we lay that out is going to determine how that road's going to be used and the access to it. Very important you get your input in on that, as well as some other things in the entire county. So it's not just a city program, it's a county-wide program. So please plan to attend those. And then before long, you'll start hearing about Stellar Community Grant, and we'll need your help on that as well. And that one is just for the city. Could be huge for our community. We're making the application in 2015. And, our friends to our east in Wabash were awarded a Stellar Community Grant. Was over there today when they kicked that one off. And we're hoping to be one of the next recipients on that. Could make a huge difference in how we do things in our community. So when you see these comprehensive study or the Stellar Community, please plan to attend. We need your input because this plan is for you and for the future of the community. With that, just one more thing. I notice we have a lot of young people in the audience. Are you from a high school class, or what class are you with?
U.S. government.
Government? Okay. Well, welcome to the meeting. You're welcome anytime. So I hope you find tonight enlightening there. So welcome. And with that, we will move on. First item is approved public library. This is the review of the budget. Mary Ann is here to bring us up to speed on that. So she will be reviewing that budget that you have before you.
Hi, I'm Marianne Farnham. I'm the new director of the library. After 41 years, Mr. Wagner retired, and he's off enjoying time with his daughter, so I get to do the Okra grant. Yay! But anyway, because of the Okra grant, we learned at our budget meeting with the DGLF that we always keep our budget, or always try to keep our budget within the growth factor that we're allowed, which this year was 2.7%. And with that, that means that we have a non-binding review. So as long as it passes our board, then it passes, and then we get our tax rate and levy from that money. Well, this year, because we are appropriating our rainy day fund to pay for the Okra grant, which you all were so helpful in us getting, our budget went over the 2.7%, and that required us to come to you in binding review. So our budget is up for you to decide whether we get it or not. I outlined here, our general fund is $525,382, which is within the 2.7% growth factor. What put us over is our rainy day fund, which was $179,851. That rainy day money we've been collecting since we were allowed to start the rainy day fund. So it's just money that we did not spend out of our budget. Each year, we've been saving up for something like this. The last time we used our rainy day money, it was for our automation system to be put into place, where we used to use an old card catalog and now we're computerized. And that's what we have used rainy day money for in the past. But this time, hopefully, we're going to get a new gorgeous children's floor, and hopefully it'll make us part of the Stellar grant. Make us like Stellar too. So I've been working with Jackie. It's both kind of new to both of us. I've never been in binding review, so we've been working together trying to figure out how to do it. Is there any questions?
How many assistants are in the library?
We currently have 11 employees. We have 6 full-time employees, and I'm diligently working to find a replacement for my job, which was the assistant director job. By library state standards of Indiana, we need to have 2 MLS librarians for our size library. So I'm working on that currently.
Is that at your expense? You're getting that education, or?
Yeah, yes. It took me about 2 years to get mine. I drove to IUPFW or IUPUI every week for 2 years to get my master's degree. So I really love the library to do that. But it's very enlightening, and we're just hoping to make our new children's floor maybe the focus of this community. I mean, that is my personal goal, is that when it's raining or snowing or too hot out, instead of people saying, let's go to McDonald's Playland, they say, let's go to the library. So that's what we're working towards.
Any other questions? We have any questions from anyone in the audience? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll get into the ordinances for the evening. The first one, ordinance number 27, 2014.
An ordinance to vacate a public alley in the city of Peru.
Move we consider ordinance number 27, 2014.
Second.
Has been moved by Councilman Crosskos, second by Councilman Goff, to consider ordinance number 27, 2014. Roll call.
Alley?
Yes.
Goff?
Yes.
Greer?
Yes.
Crosskopf?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Torrance?
Yes,
I move we adopt ordinance number 27, 2014.
Second.
Has been moved by Councilman Crosskos, second by Councilman Goff, to adopt ordinance number 27, 2014. Questions?
here's, you comment first.
You guys put that in the packet?
No.
Wow, looks like an alley.
Yeah,
Sure, it's not been well used or anymore. It's pretty much grown up. I was talking to the utilities. They seem to think the alley's already been vacated, but we don't have record or any ordinance or anything that it was vacated. So with this, we'll be able to get it recorded and definitely call it vacated. Any other questions?
I did personally look this over, and like he says, weeds and everything have pretty much taken over better than half of it, and the rest of them are evidently people using it wanted it vacated. And being that we're closing a lot of these north and south alleys, I think our plan commission didn't have a problem with it.
There are any utilities involved with that? Okay.
No. In fact, I talked with Walsh. He thought the thing was already vacated.
I mean, gas or anything
No.
like that?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
The back half is already, looks like it's already been vacated. There's
Yeah.
building on it.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Any questions from the audience or remonstrators? Seeing none, roll call.
Alley,
Yes.
Goff.
Yes.
Greer,
Yes.
Crosskopf,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Torrance.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item is ordinance number 28, 2014.
An ordinance to amend section 151.080 of the Code of Ordinances, fencing and barrier wall standards.
Move we consider ordinance number 28, 2014.
I'll second that.
Has been moved by Councilman Crosskopf, second by Councilwoman Torrance, to consider ordinance number 28, 2014. Roll call.
Alley,
Yes.
Goff.
Yes.
Greer,
No.
Crosskopf,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Torrance.
Yes.
I move we adopt ordinance number 28, 2014.
Second.
Has been moved by Councilman Crosskopf, second by Councilman Goff, to adopt ordinance number 28, 2014. Questions?
What's the thought process, or what are we trying to clean up here? What do you?
This ordinance was adopted, or was changed back in May of 2013, and it said that all fences, anybody that was going to have a fence put up needed to come before the Planning Commission. And this created quite a bottleneck. A lot of people wanting to get their fences built, what have you, and they'd have to wait a certain amount of time before we could even present it to the Planning Commission to have it done. So the Planning Commission gave me the authority to basically, I knew the rules and setbacks to allow me to accept or whatever people to do what they needed to do there. But if there was anything that was gray area, then I would present that to the Planning Commission. Basically, that's what this change does. It just allows me to go ahead and make the majority of the decisions, but if there's anything that is requires a gray area decision, I present it to the Planning Commission.
So pretty much just standard fence, you would go ahead and approve it yourself.
Big pardon?
But if it was just going to be a standard, you'd pretty much approve it yourself.
Yes.
But if it was something,
Yeah, and we're just talking about setbacks, like they need to be 18 inches from the sidewalk and 24 inches from here, that, and if it's just an absolute no-brainer, then we just do it. I did find a survey stake locator, and that's been coming in very handy because there's been a lot of property line disputes, and this thing has allowed me to settle a lot of it without having to go out there with a pick and shovel and find it. I can actually zero in and find those stakes. It's been a big help, but that's just another side of what we've been doing.
Have you had issues with people not getting fences built because of the back?
A backlog?
Yeah.
We didn't have a real big backlog because when I started bringing them to the Planning Commission, they realized pretty quickly that this was going to be an issue. So I think it was just a month that we had an issue with it. And at that meeting, they allowed me to go ahead with it.
So how long have people had to go to Planning Commission to get approval for a fence?
How many?
How long has it been that way?
Oh, probably 2 or 3 months. I've been doing this.
But I mean, how long has it, they didn't have to go to the Planning Commission before?
Before this ordinance was made in May of 2000.
Thought this process would help a lot. And like you said, it was everything vague on all of them. We have looked and looked at this, and what does our city attorney think about this?
About what?
This here ordinance.
I think it's fine.
You think it's fine? Well, that's it. Our plan commission, we've really worked on
You have
this.
to come to the planning commission to get a permit to build a fence.
Yeah,
I mean, and common sense would tell you that that's not gonna work. He's figured that out. He's implemented a new set of rules. We've gone over them, and he's been doing this already. I mean, if you
Yes.
listen to what he said, that
Yep.
the planning commission already gave him permission to do this, so it's already been enacted. And it doesn't seem to be a big problem. And once in a while, there are issues with fences and neighbors. And those are the cases he's talking about bringing to the planning commission.
Okay.
We're good? Thank you.
Okay.
Do we have any questions from the audience? Okay. Any further questions? Roll call.
Alley?
Yes.
Goff?
Yes.
Greer?
No.
Crosskoff?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Torrance?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item is ordinance number 29, 2014.
An ordinance to establish necessary rules and regulations for the Prue Skate Park.
Move we consider ordinance number 29, 2014.
Second.
Has been moved by Councilman Crosskoff, second by Councilwoman Lee, to consider ordinance number 29, 2014. Roll call.
Alley?
Yes.
Goff?
Yes.
Greer?
Yes.
Crosskoff?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Torrance?
Yes.
Move we adopt ordinance number 29, 2014.
Second.
Has been moved by Councilman Crosskoff, second by Councilwoman Lee, to adopt ordinance 29, 2014. Questions?
I've,
Yep.
I was reading this, and just from the perspective of the city, I thought it would behoove the city to maybe change some of the language in this, where just below the no smoking, it says, "For your safety, all safety equipment is highly recommended to be worn at all times." I thought it might be better if it said, "All safety equipment shall be worn at all times." And then instead of saying recommended equipment, scratch recommended and just say equipment includes. That was just something I thought I'd bring up for consideration.
You going to go down and enforce that?
Yes, I've got a skateboard and an orange band I'm going to wear.
Just so that you guys know, these rules have already been accepted by the Prue Park Board, and they're posted down there. So if you guys have been down there, you've seen that the rules are posted, but those rules were accepted by the park board for the skate park to put these rules up. This ordinance, which
Down
these
there
are
at the park at the
posted,
present time.
correct. This ordinance is going to be adopted by city council so that it can go into codification so that the police department can enforce the rules at the skate park. So the
Were these
for
rules,
use have been established.
were these rules done in collaboration with the skate park developers and some of the
Yes.
Yes.
people that use the skate park?
Mr. Anderson was
Yes.
involved with this. Matter
So
of
it's not
fact,
just the Parks Department?
No.
no. The other thing, when we're talking about codifying this, Mr. Anderson has asked the police to be able to go down there because there's been some incidents that have occurred, and you want to know why the police couldn't do anything about it. It's not in the code book. So if we codify these, get them in the code book, then the police have something they could write a ticket on if that's what is wanted. And that's, we talked to Mr. Anderson about it, told him we'd have to get it codified. He's very aware of the process.
I think I had a constituent that was concerned that the rules were posted, and the rules, the police said they were not able to enforce those rules. And I told the constituent that I thought that after tonight, if the board does pass this set of rules here in Ordinance 29, that the police then will have the authority to
In order to write an ordinance violation, that has to be in the ordinance manual, and it's not, these are not currently, it's just, these have been passed by the park board, but in order for them the police to get involved, it has to be in the code book. And that's what we're trying to establish.
That's what I thought.
So are the ones, the rules at the skate park, didn't he mention a couple corrections or at the beginning where it's highly recommended?
Right.
Which one does the skate park have posted?
They have what you see before you without the correction, with the correction, then that part of the sign would have to be altered. Whatever you pass tonight will have to be the language that's posted down there.
I can't see how you're going to somebody to wear protective. It's not any more than you can require people not to smoke or whatever else. I don't, I don't see how you can say that they have to wear them. It's going to be impossible to enforce.
Yeah.
You can make recommendations, and that's the best you can do.
And-
And since the state code says that a municipality will not be held responsible for injuries, there's no reason to require it. I mean, you can recommend it, and
you know, people are recommended to wear
Some
bike
will.
helmets, and they don't do it, so.
Some will and some won't, but on the recommendations. I know I'm obviously too old to be a skater, but I've talked to some, and I know that the wearing of helmets and those kinds of things is not something that they relish, not something they want to do. They would rather, I guess, take their chances. And we're recommending it, and, you know, hopefully they take the advice and do something about protecting their head, so forth. But if they don't,
What kind of ticket, is there another part in the city ordinances that would lay out like the
Yeah, if you look
ticket
back,
violations?
yeah, if you look back, every section has a penalty phase, so it's usually like .99 after the number. And this would fall into that same category as the fines established on that.
Do you know what kind of fines those would be?
Pardon me?
Do you know what kind of fines those would be for parks violations?
I would have to look, I don't have that code book with me at the present time. But if you want to look it up, it's in, if you look at this section, that it's going under, it being the penalty phase of that. So. We have any questions from the audience? Yes, sir. You want to stand to state your name, please, for the record?
My name is Andrew Keeper, and I have a question regarding maybe putting some cameras, because I know city bought cameras to place around town to, or even like check and see like crimes and stuff, but maybe it'd be a good idea to maybe have some down at the skate park, because then that might prevent some stuff that shouldn't be happening down there, and even catch the people, like if there are people down there fighting or all kinds of different stuff.
Okay, on that, just to give you an update, I know a lot of people said we bought all these cameras that are all over town. We bought one to test out our new Wi-Fi system. This is the Wi-Fi system with our police. We have used one to make sure we can get it locked in if that's the right camera. We are going to be buying more. And yes, there will be some place there, and that, or be one place there down by Miami's Fort, or there would be some cameras there. We could put them around town, but the one they're talking about that they have heard about is the one that we bought just to test the system. So we're still perfecting all that, but once we do that, cameras will be made available, and they will be wireless. And just give you an idea how these cameras will work. They can actually go to the laptops inside the police officer's car, so they can see it in real time. They don't have to wait till somebody in the center sees it and says, hey, you need to go down to this, what's going on. They can look on their computer, and they can actually see it going on at that time. So it's coming. We don't have all the cameras. I know there's a lot of talk about there's all these cameras been purchased. No, we purchased one in the beginning because they're like $800 a piece. And so we bought one to make sure it was going to work with the system before you go out and buy a bulk of them. But that is the intention, to have some to do just what you're saying.
Cool.
Okay. Any other questions? You want to stand and state your name, please?
I was wondering because kids are stupid, so there's no protective gear because they're going to do it. They're not going to wear it anyway.
That's why I said we're not going to put
Yeah.
shall be required.
Yeah.
You're going to, you can recommend it, but
Yeah, it should
putting
be-
shall in there, you're not, you just, no.
I've been down there several evenings, just
Broken
watch.
bones yet?
Huh?
Any broken bones yet?
No,
wear a helmet.
You guys watching her when
I
she's
sit
skating?
there with my seatbelt on. I have to say, it really has kind of surprised me how nice the older kids treat the younger kids. They let them, they seem to have it organized enough that they take turns. And you watch them, there's one little guy down there, about 8 years old, and he does have all the knee pads and headgear and everything, and he amazes me what he can do. And they all seem to be happy. I've only saw two older, and they looked like they were 18 or 20 with smoking. The rest, that's the only two that I've saw down there. And I no longer see them up on Broadway, jumping off of the courthouse steps or anything. And if you just go down there, and I just sit there in that car lot, and it's really fascinating what these kids can do. And like I say, what I really like is they have little kids on scooters, and the big kids don't even try to crowd them out or anything. They just let them go ahead, and you're talking boys and girls both. And when they get ready to leave, I've asked them, I said, what do you guys think about this? Well, we love it. I said, are you going to take care of it? Yeah, we are. So I don't know. But it's something for that age group to do. Is it dangerous? Yeah, I think it's dangerous. But what isn't anymore? I walked out of here, city council, probably 8 or 10 years ago, and asked a woman to go across the street when the Paramount was still in order for sandwich. They had good sandwiches. And we just got in there and sat down, and the car came around and hit her and killed her. Just that fast. Life can happen, things can go that fast. So it's a danger crossing the street. Everything's a danger. But at least gives that group of kids something to do.
Speaking of dangers, we need to get sidewalks down to that area. We don't have
Would be
sidewalks on
nice.
either side of the road there. And I know originally when it was going to be closer to Miami's Fort, there was sidewalks on both sides of the street at the other location that we agreed on. So, yeah, there's sidewalks on both sides. So I'd really like to see sidewalks so kids can actually get down there without being on the road.
But they could go on
Walkway
the,
right to it.
there, yeah, there's a walkway right there.
If you've already coming from that direction.
Oh, you're talking about coming from the west to east?
Just the road that leads to that, there isn't any sidewalks. So,
There's no sidewalks on Canal at all, correct?
no, there was sidewalks on both sides of the street on Canal where it was originally plotted, right next to Miami's Fort.
No, there's not sidewalks both sides of Canal. From the fire station all the way down to Homer's, there's no sidewalks down that side.
There's sidewalks on front of the Miami's Fort and
The parking lot,
There's a parking lot there.
That's about where they stop.
well, there's not,
It's nothing for about.
approved glass and screen, doesn't really, it's got a paved parking lot, but it's in the fire station. There's a grass strip between there, there's nothing.
yeah, at least get the sidewalk on the other side.
Yeah.
One more question about, would it be possible to, get recycling bins down there at the skate park? Because I go around and pick up about, if I'm down there, maybe 10, 20 cans, people just leave them around to throw them away.
Yeah, trash bags or trash containers, something's been talked about getting it down there, not necessarily recycling, but trash cans.
Recycling ones, because I was thinking about just collecting all the cans and then like turning them in, but there's really no sense in throwing all the cans away. I guess it could be used for.
I will check on that for you.
Okay.
Good idea.
Keep it green.
Yeah, went to Kokomo's skate park recently and checked it out. And I heard, I don't know if the number's accurate, but I heard they spent $500,000 on their skate park there. And I think we have a lot nicer skate park, and the city only spent $30,000.
Yeah.
So,
I think everybody involved did a great job. I know seeing the two of you down there quite a bit, and I told you down there, I appreciate the work you put in it. It's a nice facility. We just want to make sure it's safe for everybody and clean. And so, you know, there's going to be drinking fountains and all that kind of stuff eventually, but, so, the start is there. So, appreciate all your work on it. Jackie, one question on this. I was just looking through here. Did the numeric that we're given to this under what section? It's just going to go under the Parks and Recreation section of the Code of Ordinance. Is that what I know we had talked about putting it under the parks. I think that's the section will go under. If Gabe's looking for the penalty section, that's what I wanted to point out. So did we discuss it's going to be under parks and?
Yeah, but we don't typically send to codification where we want them to codify
Right.
it. We just send the ordinance, and then they put it in the section that pertains to this, so.
I didn't know down through there with Miami's Fort and all them, it's going to go into the same section with all that. That's what the intent is, right?
That's the intent,
Right,
yes.
okay.
But when they codify it,
Right.
I would hate to say 100% yes, and then,
Well, I understand. I just want to make,
But-
the only reason I was asking, because if Gabe wanted to go look at it, if you look under the parks section in the code book, that's where you'd find your penalty section. So I was just trying to
yes.
direct him on that, and I think that was the intent, that it would just go under the Parks and Recreation section of the ordinance. So, just to clarify it. So, any other questions? Okay, do you have a motion on the floor to accept it as presented? If you want to change it, there'd have to be an amendment. So what you have is to accept it as presented to you. Do you have any other questions from the council? Anything further from the audience? Roll call.
Ally?
Yes.
Goff?
Yes.
Greer?
Yes.
Guston? Oh, sorry. Habit. Crosskoff?
Yes.
Yes.
Torrance?
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay. And that is all that we have for this evening. So if there's anything else to come before the council?
I just want to remind you that there's the public hearing for budgets before the October meeting. The public hearing will be at 5:45. That was on that budget schedule that I'd given you.
Okay.
And we need to get together. We've gotten our budgets together, we've met with department heads, and now we need to present the budgets to you guys one day this month. Can you guys tell me what evening works? Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays? Just go ahead and try to stick to a Monday at 7 or
Monday.
Monday? Okay,
It's 7 or
Monday at
6?
7. Yeah.
6 or 7? Typically.
6, yeah.
Well, okay, then I'll send an email and send out a couple dates, and then, but we'll plan on meeting on one of the next 3 Mondays during this month before the October public hearing.
Okay.
Sounds good.
I was going to say, is there anything from the audience, but I think we've lost them.
Yeah.
So, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We're out.
You keep that.